stranded in the Rocky Mountains. Pushed to the limits, two men slowly go crazy. And turn into bloodthirsty beasts.
No, but seriously guys, I'm just messing with you. Turns out that I was right and Rufus actually did shoot a deer at doe, so we need to go down and pick it up, and that means we're not gonna need this pistol to be loaded with birdshot anymore. From now on, all we need our weapons for is self-defense, so we're gonna load it with buckshot. I don't suppose there's any bears hanging out this late in the season. It's probably too late, not much to eat, but who knows? There may be one that decides that this deer is his now. We might also encounter a mountain lion. A wolf shouldn't be a problem, but who knows? So we just need to reload the gun and go down to bring the deer back in the camp. So when we arrived at the spot, the carcass was intact, no problems. Apparently he found one of the buckshot just under the skin on the other side, and the other one, he hit it with two. The other one went straight through and we never found it. It's not the largest deer, but still a significant weight to carry. So as you can see, the deer is in two bags, and originally we thought we would only take one part with us and come back for the other one. But once we put this on, it turned out that it actually wasn't that heavy. Maybe it was just me because Rufus had the thinner end of the stick digging in his shoulder. But ultimately we both decided we're just gonna take the entire deer with us and not come back here again. The whole process was a little tricky because we didn't want to put the deer on the ground if we didn't have to. We didn't want to mess it up too bad with all the needles and grass and soil. And at the same time we wanted to retrieve the rope and somehow put the second bag over the stick. So it took us a while to figure it out, but eventually it all worked out and we were ready to start marching.
Aha, bo to jest taka pętelka. Daj mi podejść bliżej. Zarówno, raz, dwa, raz.
And I say marching because it's actually very important to find your rhythm and synchronize. This was about 100 pounds on a springy stick. So once all this weight starts swinging back and forth, it's actually really easy to lose balance. It was constantly throwing me off, and we had to stop, reset, find a rhythm again, and continue. But we finally reached our camp, and the abandoned frame from my first shelter was perfect for hanging the meat.
Happy hunting.
And that's what happens when you're walking in wet boots all morning. That's why I have my sandals, just in case. So this is our first proper hot meal and first meat in a very long time. Liver and heart with beans. I guess I don't have to tell you how much this lifted our spirits.
Byłem przynajmniej trochę głodny, także no, czuję to.
Czekaj, kontakt.
We wanted to cook the ribs in a large pot in order to preserve as much fat and nutrients as possible. But for that reason, we actually had to chop the ribs up into smaller pieces because even our largest pot wasn't big enough to simply throw a giant piece of ribs in there.
No gdzieś tutaj. Teraz na 3 kawałki te.
Wzdłuż.
Poprzek siekierę. Dobra. W zasadzie na pół wystarczy. No, do twojego małego garnka to tak. Chyba, że w obydwu będziemy pracować. Tutaj możesz to odciąć ten płeć. Przyniosę garnek, to od razu tu włożyć. Dobra.
Twój będzie za mały.
So, I'm one of the people who firmly believe that our ancestors started using fire for a reason. So imagine my surprise and disgust when I saw Rufus shoving raw meat in his mouth.
Ale to musi być miękkie, bo to się rwie jak...
Now, to be perfectly honest, this was a particularly tender piece and we were very hungry. So he decided he didn't have time for cooking, he just started eating it straight away and he says it tasted great. I sort of believe him because this was, I believe it was a piece of backstrap, so this is probably the best part of the deer.
Bardzo smaczna.
Tam mamy jeszcze więcej. Now, like I may have mentioned, I do not believe in not cooking meat. So despite being very hungry, I just had to cook it properly. Like it or not, but that's just the kind of person I am. And to be fair, with spices and well done, it tasted amazing. We were also wondering how to explain what deer meat tastes like to somebody who's never tasted deer meat. And we came to the conclusion that it must be something like much less chewy and a little sweeter beef. But obviously even such a savage as Rufus didn't eat all his meat raw. This is his way of cooking meat. And this is my way of preparing, seasoning with spices and cooking it. It's November 1st, the 20th day of our trip. We've been in our main camp for about a week, and it's been raining pretty much ever since we finished the camp. We just about finished putting roofs over our heads when it started raining. So you may say it was lucky. It's not ideal for my mood. Rufus remains largely unaffected by that, compared to me at least. However, we have had our little successes. For example, we managed to achieve one of the main goals of this trip. We shot a deer, which has been providing us and will provide us with meat, with food for the rest of the trip. And almost like proper hunter-gatherers, we managed to collect bags of fruits, apples, nuts, and pears from abandoned orchards. This should also last us until the end of the trip, hopefully, which is definitely improving my mood and making me happy, because I absolutely love fruits and I was suffering without them. We're also hoping that maybe the weather will change again, maybe for the better this time. Well, we will definitely let you know if we're still alive by then. And just two great ideas that we were forced to come up with during the rain. The fire remote, which is essentially just a long stick with a fancy end to it, which allows us to put certain things away without getting out and bring them back under the tarp without getting wet, and also attend the fire without having to go out. Sometimes I will roll a piece of wood towards me so I can throw it into the fire. Sometimes I just need to push a piece of wood further in to make the fire go again, and I can do all that without getting up from the bed. And another great thing that we discovered is that bark from dead trees laying all around us, not only does it keep rain off of our firewood, but also can be used to cover the coals of the fire and prevent them from being put out by heavy rain. And after a while, it actually starts to burn itself. Turns out it's apparently saturated with resin, and it burns readily even if wet. Now I'm gonna make use of all those fruits and cut them up and cook some tasty beverage. We couldn't eat all the meat at once, obviously, and we knew it wasn't gonna last forever, especially in this weather when days are actually still pretty warm. So we built a bark smoker. We're gonna put the remaining meat in there, smoke it, and when we need a piece of meat, we're just gonna carve it out, put the rest in, smoke the surface, and preserve it for later. Now it's time to check if the smoker is actually doing its job and the meat hasn't gone bad. Fortunately, it all looks good, so now we're just gonna take what we need, carve out a few pieces and cook them for dinner. It's raw on the inside, but that's exactly how it's supposed to be. It only needs to be smoked on the outside to prevent bacteria from growing on it.
Next time, we're going to struggle with eyes and nasty smell
To masz ścieżkę jest
from spoiled, rotten meat.
Z drugiej strony. Na razie jesteś po prostu... You're playing it safe.
Z tamtej?
Tak.
O, no dobra. Takim serem z napleta.
No nie będzie łoju, kurwa.